But yeah, I'm talking drama. Yeah, so Ubisoft shit the bed again. Great way to start off the video by me saying shit, but that's okay because if I'm gonna make a video, I'm gonna be honest. And anyway, graphics cards need drama. Graphics cards always need drama, but I think Assassin's Creed is the most relevant because Assassin's Creed chat. For those who do not know, Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out in 6 days. This game is nigh on release. So, with that in mind, Ubisoft came out and said, "Hey, we will support the Steam Deck." And I'm prefacing this by saying this is a PC Gamer article, but they said it here that many of you have been asking about the Steam Deck. We are happy to say that we are supporting the Steam Deck at launch and are currently awaiting the level of classification from Valve. More info to come soon. Okay. So let's go into PC Gamer's article. Ubisoft has confirmed that Assassin's Creed Shadows will run on Steam Deck at launch, which is a great, albeit unexpected news. It's unexpected because last month Ubisoft ruled out Steam Deck support, pointing out quite reasonably that Valve's handheld is below our minimum specs for PC. So what's changed? Presumably the studio has done some testing, tweaked some knobs, and discovered that the game does actually run. We are happy to say that we are supporting Steam Deck at launch and are currently awaiting the level of classification from Valve, the official Assassin's Creed X account wrote. More info to come. Steam Deck OLED released in November 2023 and is holding up astonishingly well. It runs Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and a bunch of other recent blockbusters. They don't mention Monster Hunter Wilds because people were also very certain that Monster Hunter was not going to run on the Steam Deck, but there are people actually playing it. In fact, let's find that specific information because Valve actually has their most played Steam Deck games. Where is it? Here we go. Yep, right here. So it is number 8. It has actually gone down 4 numbers. So it used to be number 4, and Elden Ring has kind of overtaken that spot again. I'm not all that surprised with Isaac, Hades 2, Potato, Elden Ring. I'm not surprised. Actually, sorry, it's number. No. They're intimidated. They are extremely intimidated, and I love it. So, even Wilds, which is not even supported on the Steam Deck, is being played on the Steam Deck, which goes to show that Monster Hunter still is beloved by people on portable platforms, no matter if it runs well or not. So for Ubisoft to say, 1 second, it's not coming out to Steam Deck, or it won't be supported on the Steam Deck, and now they're saying it is? So, it's impressive work for a handheld PC, or handheld device, and equally impressive work from the developers who managed to make their games work on it. But will Assassin's Creed Shadow be fun to play on Steam Deck? I am doubtful. Those aforementioned heavy hitters are both verified on Steam Deck, but they've clearly made for larger screens and beefier rigs. It's cool that they run, but it's pretty hard to enjoy them when they closer to moving Claude Monet paintings than modern video games. They're smeared, jerky, and overall suboptimal. Maybe I'm being picky. You are being picky, because this is a Steam Deck, which isn't the most powerful system in the world. It's powerful for the price. The Steam Deck is the price to performance king when it comes to the PC handhelds. Which is why, and it's also a console-like performance, which is why it's easier to use. So, but I usually find I'm less picky than other PC gamers. They're smeared turkey and overall suboptimal. Maybe I'm picky, but I'm usually fine. I'm less picky than other PC gamers. Then why would you say maybe I'm being picky when you say I'm usually less picky? I'm not going to deny PC gamers are picky, especially the people with the money to burn on high-end rigs. But for me, as a great example, I'm playing Monster Hunter Wilds on my rig at 60 FPS with no frame generation, and it runs fine. It runs great, actually. So, I don't know whatever. Still, if the Steam Deck is your only gaming device, and I feel like that's a growing category of players, Assassin's Creed Shadows is on the menu. It's great to see studios actually addressing the still small but growing handheld market directly too. Will Assassin's Creed Shadows factor into our list of the best Steam Deck games? Time will tell. But if you ask me, the device is perfect for most indies, CRPGs, those trackpads, and Vampire Survivors. So, you started off by literally saying, hey, this is great. I don't know if it'll be great, but this is great. Also, I'm picky, but I'm not picky. God, journos. Oh my god. So, on top of that, on February 12th, and this is really the big bit, on February 12th, Assassin's Creed, or the Ubisoft team for Assassin's Creed, had a Q&A session. And we're gonna go into the Q&A session, because this is great. I don't mean to glaze PC gamers, but they definitely have a much more refined palette for quality. We do. And that's okay. I mean, there's console games, but like, you know what you're getting with the console, but you also constantly have to upgrade. PC gamers do not need to upgrade as often. They choose to because they have money burning in their pocket. Mildly guilty. As the first Assassin's Creed game to release on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC only, the development team has put a lot of effort into the new Anvil engine to fully leverage the latest hardware capabilities, setting new technical standards for the series. You can see that in this trailer we released today. Over the past few weeks, we've gathered questions from the community on tech topics through multiple social platforms, as well as the Ubisoft Creator Program. We sat down with Pierre F., Technology Director on Assassin's Creed Shadows, to answer many of these questions. In terms of performance, now, this is a question from Reddit, so take it with a grain of salt. In terms of performance, do the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions have 60 FPS mode? Pierre F., yes, we're happy to confirm that both the PS5 and Xbox Series X will support players, or will allow players, to play at 60 FPS, 2160p upscaled in performance mode. So what you're telling me is, you can run it at 60 FPS 4K upscaled. I'm waiting for the game to come out, and you can't do that. That will be hilarious. If it can do that, I will actually be surprised. But I'm more or less expecting 60 FPS 1440p. 30 FPS 4K upscaled. Well, okay, upscaled, actually, thinking about it, maybe 60. I think anything higher than 60, thinking about it, will probably not work. Well, at least, well, anyway. Welcome, Ava. So Dang Hunk on Reddit. Given the game is using heavily resource-demanding features like RTGI, what is RTGI? Hold on. Reshade. Oh, Ray Trace Global Illumination. Okay. And with current gen console hardware being what it is, what is being done to ensure that the console versions won't be too heavily compromised with regard to image quality in order to accommodate these features? That's a really good question. From Danghunk, reaching 60 FPS on a game like Assassin's Creed Shadows while using ray tracing would mean sacrificing quite a lot to accommodate for its relatively high cost. Thus, the direction we took for Shadows was to use the hybrid approach. What do you mean a hybrid approach? What? Anvil, our in-house engine with which Assassin's Creed Shadows is built, has featured an industry-leading baked, offline, global illumination pipeline since Assassin's Creed Unity. And we have kept improving that over every game built since. Unity introduced it, Syndicate added support for dynamic time and day cycles, Origins added what we call a sparse GI system to support drastically larger open worlds, and Valhalla added support for multi-state environments. As it was necessary for the settlements, on Shadows we continue to improve this technology by adding support for the new dynamic seasons. The global illumination of a scene is drastically different if there is snow cover compared to lush vegetation with colorful flowers blooming, as well as supporting much thinner walls. The advantage of this proven, yet modernized technology for its relatively low GPU cost, this allowed us to target a 60 FPS experience on Xbox Series X and PS5 that is still impressive, which we will still have room for new gen improvements. For example, it is worth noting that all vegetation in Shadows is physically animated on the GPU based on a dynamic wind system driven by a fluid simulation. My God. Like, why? Is the dog muted? I shouldn't be muted. I don't know. I shouldn't be muted. Chat, can you hear me? I don't want to be talking out of my butt. Now you can hear me. Oh, okay, good. Just making sure. So, finally, we didn't want the image in performance mode to be so low that it becomes blurry, and targeting 60 FPS with ray tracing on console would have meant we would not have had enough GPU budget to improve other rendering systems. However, it was clear to us that there are undeniable advantages to ray trace global illumination. First and more importantly, that it adapts to change in the scene. In a game such as Shadows, in which we had a strong ambitions with destructible objects and a changing environment. Gee, I wonder where we saw that. It almost was like Yasuke was running through a Japanese monastery, hacking and slashing everyone in all the environment. Go with that. The benefits and image quality of having a global illumination that adapts to the change in the scenes are numerous. Furthermore, ray trace global illumination implicity introduced ray tracing ambient occlusion. My God, the word salad. You can tell in this entire thing here that they've used so many big words to get people to stop reading because, or on top of it, if they don't stop reading, it is intended to make people care about the environment around them and not the buggy ass gameplay that we've already seen, especially with Star Wars Outlaws. Look at the pretty environment. Don't look at what's right in front of you. This is real life technobabble. It really is. It really is. Which adds subtle yet noticeable details to the image. Furthermore, we are no longer bound to fixed size world space resolutions for our GI, which increases lighting, quality, details. But most importantly, we had one game feature that we really wanted to introduce, the hideout, that simply could not exist without ray trace global illumination to make it as we wanted it to be. So what you're telling me is, on top of everything, you're saying ray tracing is required. Then how, in God's good green earth, is it playable on the Steam Deck? How? Tell us. Can you tell us more about the Atmos tool that controls the weather system in the game? What's the difference of having this tool in Shadows compared to older games? I almost said other games. Atmos is procedural physics-based weather simulation that generates cloudscapes in Shadows. Before, clouds were created or manually created by artists and copy and pasted into the sky, like a Photoshop montage. This limited the variety of cloudscapes that were possible to create and often ended up in unnatural compositions. With Atmos, we're able to simulate natural cloud formations, and they aren't static anymore. They constantly evolve over time. Transitions between weather states are more fluid as well. For example, after a storm, clouds dissipate in a very natural way. Monster Hunter can do that too. And they did it, that made it work. And it still runs. The amount of techno babble is just insane. You're really wanting people to pay attention to the specific details instead of actually caring about the intricacy. In fact, the amount of techno jargon here literally is built on top of the fact of don't pay attention to the game, pay attention to everything we had to do to make the game instead. Oh my god, Ubisoft. Ubisoft. AC Shadows is the Assassin's Creed with the best graphics to date. Can you tell us the minimum 1080p 30 FPS and maximum requirements 4K Ultra at 60? What are the tiered PC requirement specs? Minimum recommended. Ultra will split outs for 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. Realistically, it would be great to have these a month before launch so consumers can upgrade accordingly. A great opportunity for manufacturers to create content around it to help sales of components. Nothing about the story or gameplay. Now, to be fair, this is a tech Q&A. This is not going to be around specifically story. But the point stands, when the entire conversation has been around Yasuke and the destruction tools they're using to have him going around destroying Japanese buildings, which, might I remind you, that Japan, or specifically these monasteries, have actually said they want to go after Ubisoft for. Thus, trying to double down on this game is pretty is sad. Instead of acknowledging the issues, it's look at everything else. Whatever. Instead of just listing minimum and recommended specs, the PC gaming community would love to see system requirements for the following categories. While mentioning a GPU from each major manufacturer, NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel, alongside VRAM requirements, if upscaling is used or not, and at what quality. Level A, 1080p, 30 FPS, level B, 60 FPS. C. We have provided several scenarios on the PC specs. Okay, so let's have a look. Oh, good. Good, I have to zoom in to read it! Thank you! Okay, so minimum 1080p 30. 1080p 30, by the way. Low, Intel Core i7 8700K. My god. So basically Windows 10. Or damn near. Ryzen 5 3600, 1070, 5700, A58. You expect the A580 to run this? What are you smoking? No. Recommended 1080, so medium. 11600K, 5600X, 3060 Ti, 6700 XT, B580, 1250. Okay, the B580 maybe. Maybe it can run that. 1440p to 60 high. Same CPU. Okay, so the same CPU options. But now it's a 3080 or a 6800 XT. At 4K 60. Now, I want to remind you, this is for selective ray tracing. Meaning, there is not even an option to not have ray tracing, or at least they're not going to tell you. But yes, 3080 or a 6800 XT. Like, what magic are you using together? Exactly. Like, the only Intel card I could see it working on is the Battle Mage cards. And even then, it's like, you might be able to get it to run on a Battle Mage card with the 9800 X3D. Like here, a selective ray tracing, enthusiast 4K at 60, 12700K, or 5800 X3D with a 4080 Ti Super. What a hell of a jump from a 3080 to a 4070 Ti Super. Like, good lord. Or a 6800 XT to a 7900 XT. Literally a full generation jump. Ay. Standard ray tracing, so ray tracing minimum, 1080p 30, 8700K. You're expecting to run it minimum for standard ray tracing on an 8700K or a 3600, 2070, 6. What? Ubisoft. Ubisoft. The switch from 2D to 3D wasn't this overhyped. It really wasn't. Wait. Sorry, I read ahead a little bit. Okay. We're gonna go back here. 4K 60 for selective ray tracing. Okay. Intel Core i7, 12700K, or a Ryzen 7 5800 X3D with a 4070 Ti Super or a 7900 XT. Notice they full out skipped on Intel cards for this set. Okay. We jump to standard ray tracing. 1440p, 60 FPS, Intel Core i5 11600K, or a Ryzen 5 5600X, and then a GeForce RTX 4070 Super, or an AMD Radeon RX 7800 XT. So you're telling me it is better, you get better you get better enthusiast level selective ray tracing with a 4070 Ti Super and a 5800 X3D than you do with standard ray tracing at 1440p, 60 FPS with a 5600X and a 4070 Super. This slot right here should have been over here, Ubisoft. Because this, the 4K 60, should have been over here in the standard ray tracing slot. With the 1440p, now I will admit, maybe I'm a little bit in the wrong here, because this says 4K at 60 for selective. Standard has 1440p at 60. That might be a little more fair, but that is still disgusting. Extended ray tracing. So ray tracing enthusiasts. 1440p at 60 FPS. Ultra. Intel Core i7 13700K. So that's basically the CPU I have right now. Or AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D at a 4080. So yeah, 4080, 16 gigs of VRAM. Or if you want the best level of ray tracing, 4K 60, 4090. So they want you to buy the top tier last gen card to do ray tracing. The same cards that Nvidia is actively trying to discontinue. So what I'm getting is this thing is going to be a massive graphics hog for a very little gain. All this processing power for a game that looks like it's from last gen. Exactly! Which then, okay, so you're telling me it has practically required ray tracing with some insane specs, but you're gonna talk out of your ass and say it's supported on Steam Deck. What? No. However, there are as many scenarios as there are PCs, and it is relatively hard to be extremely precise when providing PC specs visual. When providing you added an A in there, Ubisoft. When providing a PC specs visual. Okay. The team did its best to provide the most qualitative and immersive experience to the largest number of players, ensuring that everyone can enjoy the game to its fullest potential. Here are some additional details. We have 5 distinct scalability presets: low, medium, high, very high, and ultra high. And 3 ray tracing modes: diffuse hideout only, diffuse everywhere, and diffuse plus specular everywhere. Furthermore, players can fine-tweak their preferences by changing one of the numerous options, approximately 20, configured by a scalability preset. Various upscaling technologies, TAA, DLSS, FSR, and EXSS, can be used in conjunction with dynamic resolution scaling to target a given frame rate, in which the game will adapt pre-upscaling resolution to try and reach the desired FPS. To assist in collaborating options, as in-game benchmark tool is available for consistent and reproducible results. Oh, they added selective ray tracing. What does that mean? That we can choose if we want to enable it or not? Assassin's Creed Shadows features 3 distinct ray tracing modes on PC. Selective ray tracing, this mode uses ray tracing only within the hideout portion of the game. The reason behind this is that the hideout allows extensive player customization at a level never seen before on Assassin's Creed. Because of that, we cannot use traditional, pre-calculated global illumination techniques, and therefore need to adopt a real-time approach. In other gameplay situations, such as in the open world, ray tracing will not be used. So, you're making ray tracing involuntary in a very, very specific part of the map. I cannot wait for GPUs that literally cannot support ray tracing to shit the bed and die here. Because you cannot turn it off in this one section of the game. However, if your CPU or GPU does not support hardware ray tracing, such as pre-RTX GPUs, we have developed our own solution to allow competent yet older GPUs to run Shadows. The game will use a proprietary software-based ray tracing approach developed specifically for that. This was made to ensure Shadows remains accessible to as many players as possible. So you made an internal version of ray tracing. I'm sure that won't break or anything. All right. Standard ray tracing. This mode uses the hardware ray tracing capabilities of the GPU to compute real-time global illumination. Welcome to the Crash Zone, AC Shadows Edition. So extended ray tracing. This mode uses the hardware ray tracing capabilities of the GPU to compute both real-time global illumination and reflections. This is the most extensive usage of ray tracing. On GPUs that support hardware ray tracing, the choice will always be given to the player. It is one of numerous settings available to players to customize their experience on PC. It is one of numerous settings available to customize their experience. Why did you need to say it twice? Why did you need to say that twice? Did you need to reiterate that for the stupid people reading? Okay. Is DLSS 3.5 or more available? with ray reconstruction and frame generation. What about FSR 3.1? I'd like to point out, now, again, this article was in February. Q&A was last month. But as of the time of, recording this video, we are already in FSR 4. So effectively, they made a virtual machine to imitate a machine that can do ray tracing, I think. Exactly. That's exactly what they did. Okay. Will the game support DLSS or FSR to boost performance? That's okay. Will the game include next-gen AI tools like DLSS? You're all asking the same question. AC Shadows supports all the upscaling technologies mentioned here: DLSS 3.7, FSR 3.1, XeSS2 are all supported for both upscaling and frame generation purposes. Our own temporal AA solution is also available. Note that a mix and match approach is possible. You may select one technology to upscale while using a different technology for frame generation purposes. Furthermore, as part of our partnership with Intel, we had direct and privileged access to XeSS2 before it was made public, and we worked directly with Intel engineers to provide the best implementation possible. Alternatively, they could have just made ray tracing optional, but that makes too much sense. Exactly, it makes too much sense. Section only comes 4 hours in. Yeah. What graphical options will there be to improve performance for a gamer playing on a semi-high-end budget gaming PC? How scalable is the game's performance to different PC setups? And are there any recommended settings for creators prioritizing smooth performance over high-end visuals? Okay. For one thing we tried with Shadows was to be as scalable as possible. We want the game to cater to the high end of the spectrum without putting the bar too high in terms of requirements. As such, we believe that our minimum required specs reflects this commitment. A GTX 1070, the minimum required GPU, is quite old at this time. No shit. No shit, it's old. We're in the 50 series now. You're talking about the 10 series. Yeah, we made efforts to support pre-RTX GPU, 1070, 1080 Ti, and equivalent. They are still competent today, but lack hardware-level ray tracing capabilities. To further highlight our commitment into this direction, we've developed a proprietary software ray tracing GI solution to support the new dynamic hideout. You literally talked about that earlier. On the other end of the spectrum, we have introduced major new technologies to the engine, always with scalability mindset. For instance, AC Shadows will use our proprietary micro polygon system for the first time, a virtualized geometry system which allows us to render more polygons with more levels of detailed continuity and supports all scalability preset from low to ultra. The same principle applies to our uses of ray tracing, as we have 3 distinct modes, as highlighted in earlier. But does it render as many polygons as 2B's ass? That's really the question, Ubisoft. Does it? Because I'm going to go with no. But there's one thing we didn't compromise on, no matter where the configuration lies on the spectrum. And that's our vision of creating a more dynamic world by introducing weather and seasons. We've had weather and seasons in other games before. This is not new. Never before seen level of destruction in Assassin's Creed. Oh, no shit, we figured that one out. Fluid-driven wind and particle effects and physically animated vegetation to wow our players. Physically animated vegetation. Chat, I can't wait to see an eggplant get crushed. If I do not see an eggplant explode or a tomato explode, I'm gonna be mad. It needs to literally explode. And you need to see every particle of like tomato juices and eggplant juices spew everywhere. Because that's what our game needs. Be patient, Temp. They're French. You know what? Fair. Fair. All those enhancements are available to the player no matter where his PC lies in the spectrum. Shit. No, no, I won't do it. I won't do it. That's funny, but I won't do it. We want to highlight the fact that the game will look stunning, even on the lowest settings. Everyone will enjoy the experience. I don't see a difference. I'm sorry. I don't see a fucking difference. Why? What is this? Okay. What level of HUD customization can we expect on launch? The autism spectrum. Holy shit. Like, there is, chat, there is no difference between any of these. So why does it matter? Okay. Oh, no. I'm good. Thanks, Ubisoft. Oops, they loaded the same pic. Sir, they're all the same. They are. What level of HUD customization can we expect at launch? The picture we're sharing with your friends. Oh, I love it. Dozens of HUDs and interface elements are customizable by the player at launch. Dozens. Chat, dozens. Tips and messages. Critical reminders. Objective module. Celebrations. Icons. Compass. Visibility meter. Loot. Ah, yes, I want to turn my loot off. What accessibility features will be available for PC players? We've shared a lot of details about accessibility in this article, but you can find the full list here too. Okay. Colorblind mode, screen narration, HUD customization, screen shake toggle on off, good. Subtitles, good. Gameplay captions, good. Cinematics, good. So we can make the UB HUD meme. We can make the UB HUD meme! Let's go! Audio cues, audio glossary, separate audio, isolated audio sliders. Okay, you know what? Well, wait, no. I want to see that more in detail. Because if it's like anything we have today, that's not special. Fee2, first time user experience flow is back, offering first access critical options. Guided mode offers streamlined systems and remove part of the gameplay to alleviate the requirement for player engagement and exploration and finding content. Chat, we found journal. Yeah, we found the Journo mode. Journo mode is real. Journo mode is real. Tutorial section. Menu tutorials, conversation log. You know what? I do like having a conversation. If you don't catch something, it's nice to have that. Control remapping, many input devices. Lock on camera, XY axis inversion, stick inversion. Okay. Stealth and combat have 4 separate difficulty options. Why? Why? Why does stealth and combat have 4? Sorry, each. So 8 total separate difficulty settings. Okay. All right. Press start to autoplay. Truly. Guided mode. Ours offer streamlined systems and remove part of the gameplay to alleviate the requirement for player engagement and exploration of finding content. That's a lot of difficulty. That is a lot of difficulty. Canon mode. Enable automatic selection of narrative decisions. Excuse me. For the canon story to unfold. Chat. These 2 sections right here, guided mode and canon mode, are literally the journal mode. Put the controller down and let the game play itself. Okay. All right. I'm going to bet one of them is a super easy mode. Probably. Absolutely. Melee attack mode simplifies the combat by using single input instead of multiple buttons or complex combinations. QuickTime events. Type of input required to complete QuickTime events can be simplified or skipped entirely. Why is skipping a QuickTime event in there? They're already super easy. You don't need to skip a QuickTime event. God, please play for me, Ubi-senpai. Aim assistance, 4 levels, 4? What? Why are there 4 levels of aim assist offered? Why? Okay. We're gonna get off of that before I get more upset. What kind of spatial audio will Shadows support on PC? Ask again, who is this for? The system it needs to run on is too expensive for the blind gimps they made it for. Exactly. Will the game take advantage of spatial audio technologies such as Dolby Atmos or DTSX? Dolby Atmos and DTSX are both supported. Wait, we do have some minimal audio cues for gameplay elements like when the player goes into hiding or we drop an LP or LKP. Why is there an option to turn off? Like, is the specific cue? So this is climb cue, grapple cue, loot cue, aiming body, collision cue, and line of sight broken. What's an LKP? What is an LKP? Okay. Last known position. Okay. So instead, now this is my understanding. I could be very wrong on this. My understanding is that this is designed to, instead of having the yellow paint, here's an audio cue to tell you what you should be doing. Why? Will the game feature the in-game performance benchmark as it was the case in Valhalla and Mirage? There will be a benchmarking tool included to help players optimize settings for their specific hardware. Well, that's good, at least. Is there a benchmark mode to test this performance beforehand? Yes, the game does feature an in-game benchmark to test and tweak scalability parameters. Furthermore, a performance overlay can be activated in-game directly to view performance metrics such as FPS and GPU utilization, amongst others. There will be a Mirage if you were last seen, so you know where the guard will go was in Unity. Oh, that was a thing in Unity? That's disgusting. Will the game be Steam Deck certified at launch? At launch, the game will not be compatible with Steam Deck due to the fact it is below our minimum specs for PC. It is due to the fact it is below our minimum specs for PC. We are supporting Steam Deck at launch. This game can literally play itself. Auto climb, auto grapple, auto aim sword. You only need a function button and a joystick. It was actually a good feature, Temp. Cope. I guess. Is Assassin's Creed Shadows going to be natively available for Mac OS 6? And can we play the game over Wine Wrapper made for Mac OS and Mac OS and MacBook Pro M2? Shadows was natively ported to Mac OS. As such, a wrapper is not necessary. However, to answer all questions regarding the Mac OS specs, we're happy to reveal the Mac OS specs below. this game, according to these specs, will never ever be able to hit 60 FPS on a Mac. I'm not surprised, but the fact that they're actively saying we can run ray tracing on a Mac. Okay. All right, Ubisoft. All right. Do we need the Ubisoft launcher if we buy the game on Steam? Launching the game through Steam doesn't require you to download and install the Ubisoft Connect launcher, as the Steam installation itself already includes a light embedded version of it. So, no, you don't need it, but you will need it. Assassin's Creed Shadows comes with cross-save and cross-progression features. Linking your Ubisoft Connect account allows us to provide you with a seamless experience no matter where you play. Chat, they want you to buy multiple versions of the game so you can play it on PC, you can play on PlayStation, you can play on Xbox. They want you to play it everywhere. So here's cross progression. Here's cross save. Okay. Through Ubisoft Connect, you will also be part of our global loyalty program to unlock rewards and exclusive discounts, including on pre-orders and new releases. For those with a Ubisoft account, you can easily create one. So yeah, you literally will be forced to play it with a Ubisoft account. I had to buy Skyrim 4 freaking times. Yeah. Yep. Will the game support cross? They literally just said this. Yes. Oh, good. How deep does the new dynamic weather and seasonal system go? Is there dynamic weather? Yes, it does. The game has dynamic weather and seasons that impact different aspects of gameplay during our experiences. Let's go through a few of them. Okay. First of all, it impacts your stealth infiltration. When it's raining, the sound covers your footsteps so you can move without being heard as much. It also changes enemy patrol, as the higher social classes go under roofs to be protected from rain. Sorry, chat, I've been talking like this for almost an hour. Get some water. Seasons have even more impact, such as how some bushes vegetation are simply gone in the winter months. Sorry, agriculture changes over different seasons, creating new hiding spots, and snow can slow down Neo, but not Yasuke. Okay, so interesting. Lastly, icicles can fall off roofs, creating noise distractions that enemies actually hear and react to. Okay. That's actually kind of cool. That one's actually kind of cool. We'll see if that actually is real, but on a concept, that's actually pretty decent. Those are just a few examples of how weather will affect the gameplay, allowing you to get more opportunities for gameplay scenarios. Okay. How much additional stress has the addition of destructible environments placed on the CPU, if any? This is a great technical question. It is very true that more dynamism, notably lots of destructible objects in physically simulated Notably lots of destructible objects in physically simulated add an undeniable cost on the CPU. I noticed how they mentioned destructible objects so many times, when that was actually the thing that people were clowning on them for. Okay, whatever. Combined with much denser world in terms of assets per similar area compared to what we used to have in the past, the stress on CPU should be higher. In practice, we've implemented a lot of clever systems to handle the increased amount. For example, in typical game engines, physically simulated objects are deactivated or sleeping unless a condition triggers them to be active. However, each object remains Each object remains an atomic entity in the world, and this approach scales to maybe 100 objects, but doesn't scale that well with thousands when you factor in all the other systems that need to simulate, such as AI, animation, audio, and graphical systems. In Anvil, we combine objects automatically as part of our build generation process into a single object, which limits CPU processing costs. As a single object within the engine represents maybe dozens of objects. Sorry. There's a lot here that's like really breaking my brain. Let's read this back. We combine objects automatically as part of our build generation process into a single object, which limits CPU processing costs, as a single object within the engine represents maybe dozen objects in the world. Am I the only one that's lost with their choices of words? I feel like there should be like an A in there somewhere. While this approach allowed us to have dense open worlds, most of those objects end up being static, or with very limited interactivity. We solve this problem in Shadows by dynamically removing object from the optimized batches at runtime when we detect a condition that needs to awake a dynamic object. This might sound simple, but given the complexity of the merging system and a number of complex destruction sources, this was quite the endeavor. They English good. They English great. Furthermore, we have offset this increased cost in physics simulation by leveraging more and more our GPU instance renderer. By leveraging more and more our GPU instance renderer, which is our cutting edge system to submit objects to the GPU for rendering, which in the past was a huge burden on the CPU. That's all for today. We hope this gives you more worthwhile information on Shadows. Okay. All right. Sure. So, chat, I don't know if you knew, Assassin's Creed Shadow is a giant shit show. Otherwise, for those of you that stuck around for the whole video, thank you so much for watching. If you're planning to buy Assassin's Creed Shadows, I do hope you enjoy it, at least. Journalists, I hope you know that they made the game much easier for you. So you can't have a Cuphead situation again. You should be very proud that you've practically bullied the industry into bowing to your whims. And if you like the content I produce, I'd greatly appreciate it if you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for more notifications. And if you like the content I produce, in the description below is a link to the Discord. Otherwise, I will see you next time. I do need to find that button.